Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and you're probably not expecting this kind of intro, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to show more of a personalized intro to this kind of video because this video covers lore from a game that is not usually what this channel covers, but I thought I would make it as part of a bigger announcement that I will start doing lore videos that are not Final Fantasy related in the near future. Doesn't necessarily mean that we are stepping away from Final Fantasy. It just means that because I am playing so many different types of games at the moment and I'm not necessarily recording gameplay for all of them, I figured for the games that I'm currently playing, I thought, why not throw in a lore video here or there? I know there's many of you that also like different kinds of games, so if this is not your type of game, then no worries, but it would be really appreciated if you guys could still take a listen. And other than that, let's go ahead and begin with today's lore video. With that being said, we will cover the first non-Final Fantasy lore video, where I take certain topics of certain video games and analyze them. The games will vary, so it is not likely that everyone who is watching will be interested in them, but I hope you all give it a chance and perhaps learn of a game that you've never heard of before, and maybe regret that you've never heard of it or played it sooner. These sets of videos will come out twice a month, in conjunction with more Final Fantasy content, so it adds variety to the channel lore-wise. I may even dish out a quiz here and there for said games and more. Similar to many gamers, I was introduced to the Dragon Quest franchise through Dragon Quest VIII. From the start, I was captivated by its art, and being a Dragon Ball Z fan, I was able to recognize Akira Toriyama's art style, especially through the hero entering Super Tension mode. The music composition made by Koichi Sugiyama was incredible and well matched the points throughout the story when each of his pieces was played, and that I sometimes used the soundtrack when playing Dungeons & Dragons. In addition to that, Dragon Quest VIII contains a world full of incredible lore, from its characters to events and locations. While the story may seem short, all of its plot elements mesh very well together, including the postgame, where the origins of the hero are uncovered and explains his qualities throughout the main story. But that is not who we are covering today. The character I have selected, as you can tell from the title, is someone who falls in a similar position as Seymour from Final Fantasy X, in that they are labeled as the central antagonists in the game, aka those who are directly opposed the party to the majority of the plotline, yet are not considered the main antagonists of the game, and similar to Seymour, possesses strong magical abilities. So for today's video, we will be covering Dhoulmagus, from his backstory to his involvement in the events of Dragon Quest VIII. So sit back, grab some snacks, and tune in as I tell the tale of Dhoulmagus. The details of his story are not revealed in full until the release of the 3DS port of Dragon Quest VIII, where a bonus cutscene was added. When the party visits Calderasha in Fairbury towards the end of the game, he shares the story of Dhoulmagus and what led him on the path that he embarked on in the events of the game. Dhoulmagus was born sometime before the events of Dragon Quest VIII. While it is not known what his childhood was like, Dhoulmagus has always been fascinated by the magical arts, but was always an underachiever. This was shown when he eventually became an apprentice to Rylus, who, upon seeing Dhoulmagus' incapabilities of using even the basic forms of magic, instead used him to perform tedious tasks, such as cleaning the place and organizing his books. Dhoulmagus, upset that he could not perform magic, came across a book while organizing the library. This book speaks details of a staff that could enhance its wielder's magical abilities, and its location found in Trodain Castle. Intrigued by this discovery, Dhoulmagus sets off to Trodain, dressed as a court jester, and had established an audience with King Trode, impressing him by performing very simple and basic magic tricks. This allowed him access to the deeper halls of the castle, where the legendary scepter was being kept. Dhoulmagus, wanting his magical abilities to be enhanced, decided to steal the scepter. Little did he know the impact it would have on the rest of his life. Upon obtaining the scepter, he was suddenly possessed by Rapthorn, the demonic presence that presided within. And after this possession, Dhoulmagus unleashed a curse of thorns upon the castle which petrified everyone, except for 3 individuals, with 2 of them being cursed by having their bodies transform into a toad and a horse, and the third one, of course, being a guard that eventually ends up being the main protagonist of the game. Sometime around this event, Dhoulmagus' body eventually transformed where he became more evil, with his skin tone becoming a grayer shade and adopting a more evil demeanor. He also learns about and is commanded to kill the descendants of the 7 sages that sealed Rapthorn into the very staff Dhoulmagus now possesses. And coincidentally enough, his first target was his own master, Rylus, who just happens to be a descendant of one of the sages. Dhoulmagus then returns to Fairbury to kill him. In Dhoulmagus' absence, Rylus had been working on a concoction which he believed had the ability to activate Dhoulmagus' magical abilities. When Dhoulmagus returns, Rylus notices his change in personality and appearance, as well as his possession of the staff. and before Rylus realizes what's going on, he is suddenly killed by his own apprentice, and his house set on fire upon Dhoulmagus' escape and begins his quest of killing the rest of the sage's descendants. In a scene after leaving Rylus' home, Dhoulmagus is seen leaving amidst a crowd of worried villagers stating his signature phrase.
Such a pity. Such a pity.
Not long after the death of Rylus, the hero, Yangus, Trode, and Medea arrive in Fairbury and learn of his death and begin their pursuit of Dhoulmagus in order to lift the curse placed upon the king and his daughter. During the party's pursuit, Dhoulmagus embarks on his path of terror. His next target was on the nearby town of Alexandria, where he kills Alistair, the brother of Jessica, on top of the tower, with his soul being trapped in the statue on top. It was through this act of murder that leads to Jessica joining the party and ultimately contributes to the downfall of Dhoulmagus. His next point in the journey leads him to Mayella Abbey, where he hunts the next descendant of the legendary sage, Abbot Francisco. As he is the head of the abbey, it was a little more difficult to get to him due to the presence of Marcello, Angelo, and the temple guards. But with his enhanced magical abilities, he was able to eventually reach the abbot and murder him. This leads to Angelo pursuing Dhoulmagus under the orders of Marcello, the now de facto leader of the abbey. During his two last acts of murders, he was being pursued by the party, which now consists of the hero, Yangus, Jessica, and Angelo. He is eventually pursued to the Dark Ruins located in an isolated island, where the dark energy that protects the ruins can only be accessed via a magical mirror located in Argonia. It was also here that the party learns that Dhoulmagus committed another murder of a sage's descendant, the mayor of Baccarat, Golding. After the magic mirror is obtained, the party eventually reaches Dhoulmagus, who is recovering, and finally engages the party in combat. After the party defeats him in his human form, he attempts to encase the party in thorns, but is repelled by the hero's protection due to his heritage, which we learn about in the post-game at the village of the Draconians. He eventually transforms to his demon form and attempts to defeat the party, but is once again foiled, which leads to his ultimate defeat and death. But Rapthorn, the one possessing him, continues on in his quest to manifest as a physical being and to rule the world. In the aftermath, Trode had hoped that the defeat of Dhoulmagus would result in the curse being lifted and that he and Medea would return to human form. When they realized this wasn't the case, they had to continue their journey forward. It was at this point that a plot twist in the story had occurred, where the story now shifts from Dhoulmagus, who had served as a powerful central antagonist, but not the main one, as the true power behind all the evil in the world would eventually end up being Rapthorn, who had manipulated Dhoulmagus to do his bidding and kill several of the descendants of the sages throughout his tenure. If you had asked me when I first played Dragon Quest VIII, I would have thought Dhoulmagus was the central and the main antagonist of the game while being frustrated that I couldn't get past the battle against his second form before reaching level 30 and gaining multi-heal. But after realizing it was not the case, and investing myself more into the Dragon Quest franchise, I realized that this was a common element on most stories, which leads to good plot twists and turns that eventually unravel the story entirely. I say Dragon Quest VIII did a fantastic job in portraying Dhoulmagus as a very powerful jester, even more so after learning about his backstory, and I would have been satisfied with the story if it ended with his defeat, especially as a child, apart from how short the game would have been. But overall, I was happy with both the story and the post-game content it gave us. I was happy to have been introduced to this franchise alongside Final Fantasy. Let me know what you guys think. Are you familiar with the Dragon Quest series? If so, what is your favorite game and what got you into it? Let me know in the comment section below. And also, I have 2 more Dragon Quest VIII related lore videos lined up to be uploaded, and then I will only make more if you enjoyed these videos and request it. If you have any suggestions on games or character lore you'd like me to explore, let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know what other games you'd like me to explore, and check out my Final Fantasy videos if this is the first video you have seen from my channel. On the flip side, if you are coming here as a Final Fantasy fan and have not played Dragon Quest, give it a go. Definitely give Dragon Quest XI a playthrough. I'm currently playing it and I am enjoying the game and may cover lore from it soon. And consider subscribing if you wish to see related content. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all soon.